Sometimes the most devastating betrayals come wrapped in Christmas paper, delivered by the people who should love you most. This is the story of how my family turned me into their personal ATM, and how one closed door on Christmas morning became the key to my freedom. The snow was falling harder now, each flake catching the porch light like tiny accusations. I stood there with 22 carefully wrapped gifts balanced in my trembling arms, watching my 9-year-old niece Sophia close the door in my face. Not slam it. That would have been honest anger. No, she closed it slowly, deliberately, like she was sealing a tomb. "Mom says if you don't bring enough, I can't let you in," she had said, her voice flat as winter concrete, reading from her phone like she was delivering a corporate memo instead of destroying her uncle's heart. 22 gifts. 5 less than last year. Apparently, my love could be measured, weighed and found wanting. But here's what Sophia didn't know, what my sister Delilah didn't know, what none of them knew. Those 22 gifts represented my last $800. And the $14,000 tuition transfer I had scheduled for that morning? The one that would keep Sophia in her precious private academy? I canceled it from my phone while standing in their driveway, steam rising from my breath like the ghost of every sacrifice I'd ever made for this family. The golden goose with broken wings. Let me paint you a picture of who I was to the Castellano family. I wasn't Marcus, the compliance officer who caught financial fraud for a living. I wasn't Marcus, the guy who worked 60-hour weeks and lived on ramen noodles, so he could afford someone else's dreams. No, to them, I was something much simpler, a wallet with legs. And I played that role beautifully. For 7 years I'd been their personal emergency fund, their get-out-of-jail-free card, their silent investor in a life they broadcast on social media like they'd earned every penny themselves. But 3 weeks before that Christmas morning, I'd received my own early present. A meeting with HR. Restructuring, they called it. Possible relocation opportunities, they promised. Corporate speak for start packing your office, buddy. I was hanging on by a thread thinner than Christmas tinsel. One mistake, one missed deadline, one bad quarterly review, and I'd lose everything. My condo, my health insurance, my carefully managed house of credit cards that was already swaying in the wind. Did I tell my family? Did I mention that their reliable golden goose was molting? Of course not. Because I knew what would happen. The moment I showed weakness, I'd stop being useful. And in the Castellano family, being useful was the only way to be loved. The architecture of exploitation. The calls always started the same way. Delilah's voice, honey-sweet and desperate, with little Sophia crying in the background like a perfectly timed soundtrack. Marcus, I don't know what to do. Emma's tuition deadline is this week, and she loves that school so much. Please, you're the only one who can help. Just a small loan just for this term. $11,000. Gone with a wire transfer and a promise she'd pay me back as soon as things turn around. June. It's Muffin, she sobbed into the phone. Something's wrong with his leg. The surgery is only $2,600, but if something happens to him, Sophia will be devastated. You don't want that on your conscience, do you? No, I didn't want that. So I paid. Again. September. Just a short-term cash flow issue. The new job kicks in next month, I swear. Just $2,000 to get us through. By December, my credit cards were maxed, my savings were dust, and I was juggling payment plans like a circus performer. Meanwhile, Delilah's Instagram looked like a lifestyle magazine. #SingleMomMagic, #AlwaysMakeItWork, #BlessMama. All while draining me like a monthly subscription service I couldn't cancel. But here's the beautiful irony. My job was catching financial fraud, pattern recognition, asset verification, audit trails. I just never thought to investigate my own family. Christmas morning. The door that opened everything. That Christmas morning, I drove to Delilah's house in my rusted Honda, the heat barely working, 22 gifts in the back seat that represented 3 weeks of living on peanut butter sandwiches. I'd wrapped each one by hand, written little notes signed, "From Uncle Marcus with love." Sophia opened the door wearing a green elf costume, complete with curled shoes and a red hat that should have been adorable. Instead, she looked like a tiny debt collector. "Uncle Marcus," she said, but not with joy. With accounting precision. "Mom says you were supposed to bring 27 gifts. You only brought 22. I felt something cold settle in my stomach that had nothing to do with the December air. That's 5 less than last year, she continued, reading from her phone like she was reviewing a quarterly report. Mom says if you don't bring enough, I shouldn't let you in. The door began to close. Slowly. Deliberately. I didn't beg. I didn't argue. I didn't even ask to speak to Delilah. Instead, I did something that would have made my compliance training proud. I documented the transaction. I placed the gifts on their welcome mat, stepped back into the snow, and opened my banking app. There it was, the scheduled tuition transfer. $14,000 for Sophia's private academy. I hit cancel. Transfer on hold. Merry Christmas. The reckoning begins. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, engine running, watching warm light spill from their windows. I could hear laughter inside. Christmas music. The sound of a family that didn't include me. At 9:43 a.m., my phone lit up. Delilah. How could you ruin Christmas? She's crying. I stared at the message, thumb hovering over the keyboard. Then I typed, me? You said don't come in if I brought too little. I brought respect. You shut the door. But that was just the beginning. 3 days later, an envelope appeared in my mailbox. No return address. Inside, one sentence that made my blood freeze. She's telling people you're unstable and dangerous. That Sophia shouldn't be around you. Dangerous. Unstable. The reliable uncle who'd paid for private school and dog surgeries and emergency bills was suddenly the family villain. They needed a story to justify cutting me out, so they painted me as the threat. But they made one crucial mistake. They forgot what I do for a living. Following the paper trail to hell. I logged into my credit monitoring app with shaking fingers. At first, everything looked normal. Then I found it, a $9,800 loan from a private education lender. Under my name. Using my birth date. With a phone number that looked eerily similar to mine. Off by just 1 digit. Application date. 2 weeks after I'd wired money for Sophia's tuition. Right after Delilah had asked for a copy of your ID and confirmation for their records. Like a fool, I'd sent everything. Unredacted. I kept digging. Another loan. $3,500 from a veterinary credit program. Same pattern. Altered name. Fraudulent phone number. For loans total, over $17,000. All triggered after family emergencies I'd already paid for. My sister hadn't just been using me as an ATM. She'd been using my identity to fund her lifestyle while I went bankrupt keeping up with her demands. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I called my former colleague Rivera, who now worked at the Financial Fraud and Identity Protection Bureau. You need to file a report immediately, Rivera said after reviewing everything. This is textbook familial identity theft. And Marcus? She's not just stealing from you. She's laundering it through education and medical categories to avoid triggering alerts. That's sophisticated fraud. My own sister. My blood. Building her Instagram perfect life on the foundation of my ruined credit. The house of cards falls. Within 48 hours, the investigation was underway. Loan accounts frozen. All tuition transfers from my name flagged for review. Then came the email from Sophia's school. As per financial review request, we've suspended the scholarship account pending identity verification. Delilah must have felt it immediately. Her first call came at 11:47 p.m. I let it ring. The voicemail was pure desperation. What are you doing? Why is Sophia's tuition frozen? Why are people asking about loans in your name? I don't know what you think I did, but Sophia is the one suffering. You're punishing a child. No, I thought. You used a child to shield your lies. A week later, her accounts were under audit. Sophia's education fund frozen. The veterinary clinic flagged for suspicious billing. Delilah's perfect Instagram life crumbling like a sandcastle at high tide. The family chat explosion. Our family group chat had been quiet for months. I'd become the ghost member, ignored unless someone needed money. But that morning, it exploded. Mom, what's going on? Sophia can't go back to school? Cousin Jessica, you froze her tuition? Are you serious? Aunt Linda, she's 9 years old. You don't punish children. Delilah, I told you he's dangerous. He's always had issues. Then came the question that changed everything. Uncle Mike. Wait, did you actually take out loans under his name? Because that's what the school is saying. 20 minutes of silence. Then I wrote one line. Me. I didn't ruin Sophia's life. I just stopped funding the lies you told to build yours. The chat erupted. But this time, the anger wasn't directed at me. Jessica, is that why you posted #BlessMama all year while asking me for dog money? Linda, I sent you $500 because you said you were behind on rent. Mike, you told us Marcus was helping because you deserved it, not because you were stealing. One by one they left the chat. Some silently, others with final messages. You need help. Don't call me again. We were raised better than this. That afternoon, Delilah's Instagram disappeared. No more warrior single mom posts. No more #Sophia is heading to Harvard captions. Gone, deleted like the lie it had always been. The confession that wasn't. At 6:47 p.m., I received a voice message. 48 seconds of barely contained sobbing. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was just desperate. I didn't know how else to keep everything together. Sophia deserves better than what I can give her alone. I know it wasn't right, but you know what it's like, we grew up in the same house. I just wanted her to have a chance. Please don't send this to anyone. I just needed you to hear me. I listened twice. Then I forwarded it to my lawyer. This wasn't about guilt or punishment anymore. This was about protection. Protection from manipulation. From a system where I was always the backup plan, the invisible wallet. She didn't want forgiveness. She wanted another bailout. For the first time in years, I didn't offer her one. The clean slate. The next morning, I went for a walk. Snow had melted, leaving Christmas tree needles scattered on sidewalks like fallen dreams. I passed a family taking down decorations, laughing on their porch. I smiled. Not because I was happy, but because I finally felt clean. Mom called that afternoon. She didn't yell or beg. Just said, I didn't know the full story. I'm sorry. Do you still want to come over this weekend? I bought extra coffee. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I said, I'll think about it. Because maybe finally, I had a choice. The Great Escape. The for sale sign outside my apartment had been snow-covered for weeks. When the offer came, lower than hoped but enough, I took it. Enough to pay off the personal loans. Enough to settle the credit card debt from family emergencies that were never mine. Enough to walk away with my name intact. I packed everything into my Honda. Every photograph, every receipt, every small object that once proved I was a good brother, uncle, son. I left the keys on the counter and never looked back. The new city was quiet. Brick buildings minded their own business people, and a job that came with respect instead of exploitation. Here no one carries more than their share, my new boss said on day one. We lift evenly. I breathed for the first time in years. Christmas, year 2, the gift of solitude. December arrived like a gentle friend. Christmas lights tangled in tree branches, shop windows full of plastic joy. But this year was different. No wish lists. No frantic gift shopping. No checking shipping dates or begging for addresses. Just a reservation at a local cafe. Dinner for one. The place was nearly empty. A few other quiet souls orbiting each other in soft silence. A waiter in a Santa tie brought roast chicken, sweet potatoes, warm pecan pie. Snow began to fall outside. At 8:17 p.m., my phone buzzed. Mom. Sophia made you a drawing. It's of you two building that snow fort from 2 years ago. She wants to talk to you. Just talk. The photo showed a crayon sketch. Stick figure uncle with a scarf, kneeling beside a lopsided fort. A little girl holding a flag that read Team Us. My thumb hovered over the screen. So much love in a child's hand. So much damage in the choices of adults around her. I didn't reply, not from spite or anger, but because I finally understood something I'd missed all those years. You can love someone and still walk away. You can protect your peace without punishing theirs. You can choose healing without needing an apology. The street corner prophet. Outside the cafe, wind bit at my cheeks but felt real, not cruel. At a street corner, a man strummed slow guitar melodies. He didn't ask for change, didn't even look up. just kept playing like the world owed him nothing, and he was okay with that. I dropped a bill in his case and smiled. He nodded back. No names, no history. Just two strangers sharing a quiet moment. Back in my apartment. Small but warm. I sat by the window watching snowflakes swirl beneath a street lamp. No decorations, no tree, no stockings. But I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not happiness. Not excitement. Just honesty. No pretending. No performances. Just me. The final message. My phone lit up one last time. Mom, she says Merry Christmas. She misses you. I stared at the blinking cursor. The open space inviting me back into the familiar dance of obligation and manipulation. But instead of typing, I closed my eyes, took a breath, and let the silence settle like snow. This year, I chose a gift no one expected. Not a toy, not a tuition payment, not another sacrifice dressed as love. I chose me. And for the first time in 7 years, Christmas felt like a celebration instead of a transaction. Sometimes the best gift you can give yourself is the courage to walk away from people who only see you as an ATM with a heartbeat. Sometimes love means protecting yourself from those who weaponize your kindness. Sometimes the door that closes in your face is actually opening a path to freedom. If this story resonated with you, you're not alone. Family financial abuse is more common than we think, and setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's survival. Sometimes the people who should protect us are the ones we need protection from. Remember, you are not responsible for funding other people's lies. You are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. And you are not cruel for choosing your mental health over their comfort. Your worth isn't measured by your wallet. It's measured by your willingness to protect your peace.